to the channel of PARRAMATTA vids, and this is my round 25 NRL tips for 2022. Well, here we are, the final round of the 2022 season. It's been a very interesting season. It's been a good season too, though. I think a lot of games been great this year throughout the regular season, and I think it's been a good sort of regular season year. And no, I've got to say, like, obviously it's a bit sad for some clubs. Obviously there's years now cut short because obviously they only make the cut to the finals, including my boys Manly. Support them no matter what, but it's a bit of a shame not in the final series this year. But I guess our aim is to make it next year. But yeah, no, look, round 25 we're already here. It feels so quick, and let's just hope that this round's a good one. It can end up on a high, and lead up to finals. But before I start, I'm currently at 2,260 subscribers. My goal is to get to 2,300 subscribers by hopefully late this week or early next week, because that's obviously my channel goal right now, is to get to 2,300 subscribers. So just like to say before I get into my tips that if you're new to watching the channel right now, I would hope and consider subscribing if you like sports content such as NRL, which is basically what my channel's all branded about, to be honest. And look, if just the main thing is you enjoy the video and you're enjoying what I'm doing. So just thought I might add that in quickly. But without further ado, time to get into my round 25 tips, and it kicks off an absolute bang. It is the Eels taking on the Storm at CommBank Stadium. Cannot wait. Right, so Para versus Storm at CommBank, very big game because this actually determines who gets fourth place in the ladder. So if Para win, they lock in a spot in top 4 and come fourth and play Penrith week 1 of finals in Penrith. But if Storm win, they play the Storm as well. They play Penrith as well in Penrith, and they come fourth. So big game for both sides, as they're going to be obviously both aiming for top 4. But if they lose, they'll either play, well, the loser will obviously the loser will come 5th and the winner will come 4th. So it means that the loser will probably play Canberra at their home ground, either in Melbourne or Para. But yeah, getting through both sides, the Eels came through their win over Brisbane unscathed, so that's good for them. So Brad Arve has the luxury of naming the same side. So they're the same 1-17 from last week's win over Brisbane. Then as for the Storm, who got a loss against the Roosters, Tom Myers, whose season is over after he suffered a syndesmosis injury in the tackle that saw Lindsay Collins suspended for a dangerous contact. Chris Lewis is the new man on the bench, and Felice Kafusi returns to the starting side, so Tui Kamika goes to the bench. Josh King has been named to start lock, and Brandon Smith is on the interchange, but they could well swap on game day. Could well swap on game day, yeah. My tip for this game, I'm going to tip the Eels to win here. I think they're in good form at the moment. I think that momentum will bring to this game. Wouldn't be shocked if Melbourne won, though, but I will tip Parramatta because it's at home, and I think they will get up for this one. I think I'll go Parramatta by 4, and my first try scorer is going to be through I think a forward's going to score first, and I'm going to go with Sean Lane. He's been in good form recently, and I think I like him that edge, so I'm going to go Sean Lane for first try scorer. And as for my anytime try scorers, well, Steve pretty much scores every game at CommBank. Going to go with Tom Opacek as well. And for the Storm, I'm going to go Nofaluma for a try, and I'm also going back in Cameron Munster for a try as well. Alright, it's the last game of the year for both sides, and after this game, both of them can go on holidays and I guess enjoy the week or the next couple of weeks off and months until they return to pre-season in late November. But it is the Bulldogs taking the Seagulls at a core stadium, so it's a game that really means nothing. But obviously, I think both sides would like to end the season on a win, and it will be interesting to see who comes away with a victory here. As for what happened last week for the Bulldogs, I was at the game actually when they played the Sharks and lost 16 points to 0. They weren't bad, like they played with a lot of effort and heart, but they just don't have the X factor like the other sides do, and that's where they lost that battle with the Sharks in terms of X factor and all that. But they've been alright. They've been better than Manly, I will say that though, because as for Manly, they're just getting smashed by 40 points every bloody week, and it's just sickening to see as a Manly fan myself. But that loss against Canberra was awful, losing 48 points to 6. Who knows if we'll turn that around for our last game of the year, and last game for Tapau, 4 and Walker Davey. We'll see how we go for them, but it's just hoping for a better effort. That's all I'm going to say. Getting through both sides now. So for the Bulldogs, Luke Thompson's been named among the reserves as he races the clock to be fit after missing the Sharks game last week due to COVID. Woodell is back from suspension, so he starts in the second row, and Joe Simpson reverts to the bench. And Tavia Pago Jr. is back in the team as well, off the bench, came back from New South Wales Cup, and Harrison Edwards and Josh Starkey drop out. As for Manly, KO Wegg starts at fullback, so I'm pretty happy to see KO start at fullback. Great young player, and I think fullback's one of his prime positions he's good at playing in. And Kohler goes to centres, and Ben Trebojevic goes to the bench. And Andrew Davey and Dylan Walker join the pack, so Davey starts in the background, Walker starts at lock. And Josh Aloiai is dropping out for some reason. Don't know if he's injured or something, but he's not playing. And Ethan Bullimore goes to the bench. My tip for this game, I'm going to tip the Bulldogs. You know, I hate saying that because we haven't lost to the Bulldogs since 2017, but I think unfortunately it's going to break at the moment. I think, you know, at a core stadium where the Dogs won a lot more games recently than what Manly have there, and just because I think that, you know, Dogs have been playing a lot better than we have, I just think that, yeah, they'll win. And I think I'll go with Dogs 1-12, so by about probably 10 points. And my first try score is going to be, I'll go with Adokar. I think Adokar is going to score in the corner for the first try. And my anytime try scores for the Bulldogs are going to be Jacob Carraz, Matt Burton, and Joe Marshall King from dummy half. And as for Manly, I'm going to go with Kohler for a try. And I'm also going to go with KO Weeks at fullback for a try. I think KO's going to get one there. Okay, as on to the big rivalry game down the Friday, and wow, it's going to be good. It is going to be good, and it's always a good clash when these two sides play. And it is the Roosters taking on the Rabbitohs at the new Allianz Stadium. So obviously Allianz Stadium is under reconstruction. It was like knocked down, obviously rebuilt a couple of years ago, and yeah, it looks great now from what I've seen. And it's going to be a good clash. It's, you know, there's no perfect games kick off the new Allianz Stadium. Then Roosters and South are taking on each other. So, you know, I'm keen. I think it's a lot of things are going to happen during this game. I can already tell. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Getting through both sides, though. So, for the Roosters, the absence of Victor Rayleigh, concussion, Daniel Tupou, groin, and Collins' suspension sees Takayaho go lock, and Paul Morozki joins the starting side with Fletcher Baker and Terrell May, the new faces on the interchange. And as for South, Damien Cook's out because of COVID, and I think he's free to play, but South are just going to rest him this week. And Campbell Graham's also out as well, replacing the centres by Jackson Polo, who's going to the Roosters next year as well. So interesting reactions there. And utility Cody Nikarima has dropped to the reserves list, which means that Peter Mamouzelos takes his place on the bench. Wow, it is a very tough game, this one. It's very tough, and I found it very hard picking at the start. But I think that I will lean towards the Rabbitohs win this game. I was going to say Roosters there, but no, I was always going to tip the Rabbitohs here. I think that, you know, just because South for me, you know, that win against the Cowboys was obviously pretty good, and I know that Cowboys were missing some players, but I think South will aim up for this game. But they always aim up for the games against Roosters, and I think that they will kick off the very first game between these two sides at the new Allianz Stadium with a W. So I'm gonna go South by 6, and my first try scorer ever at the new Allianz Stadium, I think it's going to kick off with Joseph Suwali. I think Joseph Suwali is going to get the first try, or Joseph Suwali'i, whatever his new last name is. But yeah, I think he'll get the first try. And my anytime try scorers for the Roosters are going to be Tedesco, and I'm also going to back in Nat Butcher. And as for the Rabbitohs, I'm going to back in Tass and Johnson for a try. And I'm also going to pick in Kalamatangi anytime as well. Alright, on to the first game of Super Saturday. It is the Warriors taking on the Gold Coast Titans at Mount Smart Stadium in New Zealand, and this is the final Super Saturday fixture of the season until it comes back in 2023. Look, for both sides, obviously, it was disappointing seasons for them both, but a lot of changes being both made to Warriors and Titans in 2023. So we'll see if they benefit from any of those changes next season, but it's fair to say for both Warriors and the Titans, this season was a failure. This is the last games of the season for both clubs, and we'll see how they go next year. But yeah, look, for the Warriors last week, you know, they obviously were poor against Penrith, and obviously for the Titans, they were lucky to get the win over the Knights at home. But getting through both sides, so for the Warriors, Sean Johnson has been named despite suffering a calf injury against the Panthers. Ewan Aiken personal reasons, and Jesse Arthur's quad and Wade Egan back spasms, and Marcelo Montoya knee all return to the side. And Rockaberry and Viliami Vailea and Adam Pompey, Edward Kosi, Dynamis Louis, and Daniel Otacolo dropping out. No, sorry, I meant Berry's back in the team, but Vailea, Pompey, Kosi, Louis, and Otacolo all dropping out. And Freddie Larson goes to the bench. And as for the Titans, Philip Sammy returns for the trip to Auckland after missing round 24 due to a head knock. He takes over from Brian Kelly, who has been suspended for a dangerous tackle. So, yeah, nothing game really, but my tip for this game, I'm going to take the Warriors 13+ at home. I think Warriors at home will want to put on a show for the fans and make it a big one for the last home game of the year. So I am going to tip the Warriors 13+ and probably Warriors by 18 points. And my first try scorer is going to be through Master Montoya on the wing. And my anytime try scorers are going to be Jesse Arthurs, Josh Curran, and Reece Walsh. And Reece Walsh, his final game for the Warriors too. And as for the Titans, I'm going to go with Greg Marvs-Yu and Jane Campbell. Okay, on to the second game of Super Saturday at 5:30. It is the Dragons taking the Broncos, and it comes as a very crucial game for the Broncos, especially because the Broncos need to beat the Dragons by approximately 40 or something points to get in the 8, which is not going to happen. I mean, I guess you never know, but I doubt it. I doubt Dragons are going to let in 40 points. The way the Dragons are playing, I don't think they're going to let in that many points at Cogra as well. So, like, it's nearly impossible, but I guess a win does count as something, though. So the Broncos do need to have some sort of decent victory over the Dragons that they still want to make finals and hope Tigers somehow smash Raiders or whatever. But yeah, Broncos were just obviously awful against the Eels last week, so they'd like to bounce back from that one. And now at the 8 now, so it could be the biggest choke of, well, one of the biggest chokes of the year, to be honest. Because they're in the 8, like, or top 4 a couple of weeks ago, and in the 8 for most of the year. And as for the Dragons, Dragons have gone on a two-game winning streak, and they had just defeated the Tigers at the depth, winning 24 points to 22. So I'm sure they're playing with a bit of confidence towards the back end of the season. But looking at both sides, the Dragons have named the same 1-17. As for the Broncos, Reynolds is been named. He has been named, but like despite the head knock, but may not play. But we'll see what happens. Will be monitored. Tom Flegler-Throat is also expected to play. Carrigan returns from a suspension at lock, and Selwyn Cobbo is also back after being rested for round 24. Tyson Gamble's new 5'8", with Ezra Mann dropping to reserves, and Renko Lee hamstring, and Kobe Hefferson head knock will miss the game, and D. Louise Huerta comes into the centres. My tip for this game, look, obviously Broncos will be desperate to have some sort of good victory over Dragons or whatever, but I think Dragons are going to win here. I think Dragons are going to officially end the Broncos' hopes of making the 8, and I think that they will do it in style at Cogra. So I'm going to go the Dragons by 12, and my first try scorer is going to be Tyrell Sloan the wing. I'm going to go Tyrell Sloan the wing, and my anytime try scorer is going to be Moga, Ramsey, and bit of Ruffy. Going to go over Sewer for back-to-back tries and back-to-back weeks. And as for the Broncos, I'm going to back in Oates. Oates for a try, and I'm also going to back in Jordan Ricky for a try as well. On to the final game of Super Saturday. It is the Panthers taking on the Cowboys at Queensland Country Bank Stadium there in Townsville, and honestly, it might be a runaway win for the Cowboys here, because the Panthers have decided to name their B-grade side here, and if you're a Cowboys fan, get excited, because I think that they're going to get a big win here to cap off their last regular home game at home, and the Panthers are just resting all their big names like Toto, Crichton, Tago, May, Luai, for example, and I don't think I'm against this one for too long. But what happened last week to both clubs? Last week, around 24, the Cowboys had lost to the Rabbitohs 20 points to 10 at a Core Stadium. South was just too good, and Cowboys obviously missing Dearden there, but he's back. No, he's not back yet, but they were missing his direction, I thought. And as for Penrith, they had a big win over Warriors, and that's no explanation that needs to be made there, because they're always going to win that one. But getting through both sides, the Cowboys have Tom Dearden. I'm listing him on the reserves, so he has a chance to play, though, despite rupturing his testicle. Scott Drinkwater has been named at fullback, and Hamisis Tabuai-Fidow has been named at 5'8". Far out, 5'8" for Hammer. I wonder how that would go. But we'll go back to the bench, though, if Dean does play, though. Cohen Hess will miss the game due to suspension, so Ruben Cotter joins the starting slide at hooker, and Griffin Neem comes onto the bench. And as for the Panthers, well, look, you know who's getting arrested, right? So I won't go through everyone. Liam Martin is named among the reserves and may have returned after he was arrested last week. Scott Sorensen is back from a calf injury in the second row. While regular bench players Matt Eisenhuth, Mitch Kenny moves into the starting side, Charlie Sands gets another run at fullback and Sunia Taruva's on the wing. While on NRL debuts, I've got 3 debutant videos to make on the Panthers. So Thomas Jenkins will play in the centres, Liam Henry will play for the bench, and Jack Cole will also play for the bench for Penrith as well. So a bit of content there with NRL debutant videos this week. Who am I tipping? Well, look, Cowboys named pretty much their best side they can possibly name, despite no deed in there. And as for Penrith, Penrith named the B grade side. So Cowboys win 13 plus, Cowboys by 16, and I'm gonna back in Murray Taulagi for first try, and my anytime try scorers are gonna be Val Holmes, Scott Drinkwater, and probably Jeremiah Nanai as well. And as for Penrith, I'm gonna back in Christian Crichton for a try. I think Crichton will get a try. Stephen's older brother. And I'm also going to go with Scott Sorensen for a try in the back row. And on to Sunday footy now. So the final fixture of the regular season for Sunday footy. It kicks off with the Knights and the Sharks taking on each other at McDonald Jones Stadium there in Newcastle. So, well, look, I think it's going to be pretty much one-sided this contest. Sharks aren't resting any players, so I think they will be too good. But, at Newcastle, last game of the year, maybe Knights will turn up in their final NRL match of the year, but who knows at this point with them. Last week, Knights, they're struggling still, they're getting nowhere, and they unfortunately suffered another defeat last week. And as for, against the Titans, and as for the Sharks, they obviously had a defeat over the Bulldogs for 16 points to nil in a tough match. But, looking for both sides now. The Knights have Anthony Milford out, so Phoenix Crossland starts at 5'8", and Chris Randall joins the interchange, along with a new face, Jack Johns, on the bench. And Matt Croker moves into the starting side with Suaso Sue dropping out. No sign of Kurt Mann, Quad, and Mitch Barnett at fun, with the latter having played his final game for the club before he departs to the Warriors. So Barnes plays his final match for the Knights and will join the Warriors now. And as for the Sharks, Dale Finucane is listed among the reserves as he looks to return from a rib cartilage issue that's sidelining last week. Winger Matt Ikavalu is also back, so Kyle Ira drops out, and concussion for Connor Tracy, and will be rested for until the final starts. My tip for this game, Sharks 13 plus. I'm going to go Sharks by 22. And my first try scorer is going to be Ronaldo Mulatalo. And my anytime try scorers, I think for the Knights, I'll start off with first. It will be Edric Lee and Tyson Frizzell in the back row. And as for Sharks, I'm going to go with Lachlan Miller, Mulatalo double. And I'm also going to go with Nico Hines for a try. And on to the final game of the regular season for 2022. It is the Tigers taking the Raiders at Leichhardt Oval at 4 p.m. This pretty much concludes the 2022 NRL season before finals do kick off next week. So hopefully it ends off as a good game for the regular season. It's the final one. So it's last week the Tigers. They should have been Dragons. They're actually the better side for most of the match until it's like the last sort of minutes of the match. And Dragons stole it at the end with a win there, 24 points to 22. And as the Raiders, they smashed my hapless Manly side by 42 points. So Raiders definitely a win that pretty much put them in the top 8 and might even keep them there to win this game. So interesting times ahead. And I just found out that these two sides haven't played since round 1, 2021. So I can't believe it's been that long since these sides have last played. So, interesting stuff there. But looking at the Tigers team, as it's their last game of the year for them, James Tarmer returns from suspension for what could be his last game of his career. So, might be his final NRL game. You never know with Tarmo. So Zane Musgrove reverts to the bench, and Kim Malu Groin is back in the wing, and Luke Garner has been named at centre in his return from a head knock. As to Kepa Owa and Junior Paugo drops out, Tyrone Peachy gets another crack on the bench, and Jacob Little goes to 18th man. And Kitsiona Kautoga is out, and halfback Luke Brooks' season is over due to a calf injury, and that made him sidelined for round 19, or since round 19 he's been out for that calf injury. And as for Raiders, Nick Kotrick returns from a groin injury, so Albert Hopewadi goes to 18th man in the only change for the Raiders after their win against Manly. So, my final sort of tip or final sort of NRL round sitting video for the year concludes here. So pretty sad, but you know, finals time, you can't not wait for it. My tip for this game, I'm going to go the Raiders to beat the Tigers here at Leichhardt Oval. Raiders 13+, Raiders by 20 points. And my first try scorer will actually start with the Tigers. I think Tigers will score. I think Tigers will score the first try at Leichhardt here. And I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Ken Mamala for first try. I think Mamala will get the first one here. And my anytime try scorers for Tigers are going to be, Mamala for 2. And I'm also going to go with Tom Freeburn, get another one this week. I doubled last week, so I think I'll get one as well. And as for the Raiders, I'm going to go with Nick Kotrick in his return. And I'm also going to go with Hudson Young and Jack Wyden. But anyway, everyone, that's my final round tipping video of the year for 2022. Thanks for watching. If you've watched from round 1 to round 25, thank you for being committed and watching every week of my NRL tips. So on to finals now, and yeah, thanks for watching the video, this one right now. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your tips in the comment section down below. But until then, see you next week for my NRL finals tips.